What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nintendo Land, and we just got our first look at Gen 9 Pokemon being Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. I cannot wait for this. This looks so exciting. It's finally looking like it's going to be a full-fledged open world experience for really the first time ever for Pokemon. As Arceus had definitely segmented areas, this one is confirmed from the Pokemon Company to once again be an open world. And there's so much to dive into and so much to look at. I can't wait to dive into it with you guys. Now, you guys have been asking for Pokemon content for so long now, and I thought, you know what, Gen 9 is going to be when we actually start this, so let's do it. Alright, let's dive into this and talk about all the things that you might have missed and all the small little details in between. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and let's get on to the video. So the trailer opens up with tons of different footage of the overworld and exactly the areas that we are going to be exploring. And this first look gives us a look at the main city or the main town of this game, and I think most people have come to the conclusion now that this resembles Barcelona, Spain the most, which it definitely does. The surroundings and everything is also shown in here, and you can see some vast landscapes with high mountains and including a snowy mountain far in the southern region of this island. Right outside of the town, you can see a small red Pokemon Center with lights of the Pokeball coming from the top, which is probably an area to heal your Pokemon, go in and do some shopping, as we can find lots of these scattered throughout the landscape in the later slides. On the right side of the town, you can see more castle-inspired towers and pillars, which is probably just an extension of the main hub area, with another little Pokemon stop. And on the left side, we can see a giant fancy bridge leading outside of the city into the open wild. And if we look right above that bridge, we can see up in the mountain what seems to be a gym, which is probably one of the first gyms of the game where you go and battle before you explore the rest of the region. The second pan of the area we get is a giant lake with a small little massive island in the middle. And what's really cool about this is if you look at the trees, they're very distinguished and more detailed than what we've seen in the past games, which you probably know many people complained about. So they definitely look more touched up already, and we know the game still has a long way until it actually releases into the end of this year. But in the background, we have more of a plateau type island, and it looks like the water drops off to perhaps a waterfall along some type of beach or coast on the outside of the island. And then right beside it is some type of rock structure with a pointed top, and for some reason it reminds me of a shrine from Breath of the Wild. It'd be cool to have a little area like this all over the map, like little shrines or little caves that you can explore for some secrets or some puzzles to solve for a special reward. That'd be pretty cool. I also for a second just wanted to point out how nice the water is reflecting off of the lake and coming underneath of that cloud in the sky, which is just beautiful. This next section now takes us into nighttime, and of course with its beautiful Pokemon skies that we're used to, because Arceus has some really nice skies, but you can start seeing some texture disformation with some of the trees in the background. Of course, this is very early in the game. We're gonna have that, especially when it keeps saying at the bottom of the screen that this is not the final look of the game. It's still gonna take some time, but yeah, just thought I pointed those out, and some mountainous regions back behind it. This next slide, we get another look at the town, and now we get better looks at this later on, but this is kind of one at dusk or still at night with fog in the area, and it's kind of like the backside of the town, so we don't get a lot of things to see here, just some marts and maybe some apartments along the street here lining up, all the way until we get into the background where we see the giant Pokeball on that giant castle-like structure in the middle of the town. So there's not much to talk about in this scene. There is another Pokemon stop that you could probably run in, heal your Pokemon, and get some items, but nothing super crazy here right now. This next scene, we see a whole bunch of Starlies flying through a field until we get the overlook of another big part of the island, which is just massive and beautiful. There's so much to unpack here, so of course I'm going to have to freeze the screen so that we can go through area by area once again. For a brief second before we look at everything beyond this hill and this plateau area, we have another giant tower or structure in the far left, which seems to be maybe another gym. Every time I see a big building, let's just face it, I'm gonna call it a gym because we have no clue what these could be at the moment. Besides gyms, because this is Gen 9, which probably means they're going to return. But looking beyond this hill, there is just too much to unpack. We have amazing land sites. Starting with the right side of the screen, we have some really cool windmills, and I learned from later on in the trailer that it looks like we're going to be able to go up on probably every single one of those to the very top, and I'm going to explain why in a bit. but there's a little gap here where we can see a river flowing in between the two mountain ranges, and another Pokestop right there in the middle. But if you look at the rest, it's just really cool landscape going throughout mountainous regions, which seems to be very, very differentiating changes within the terrain, so I almost guarantee there's going to be new unique ways for us to get around, like not just bikes this time, and probably not just Pokemon like we had in Pokemon Arceus, but some unique new vehicles possibly as well. Would be really cool. In the far left side of your screen, up on that mountainous area, you can see a small little shack, maybe where an NPC lives for some side missions or challenges. And then right above that, once again, we see that tower. Maybe it's the battle tower, who knows, or that new Pokemon gym, but we can see what seems to be maybe a small building beside it, so maybe this is just another town. That's one thing Arceus doesn't really have right now, is multiple different towns the way Breath of the Wild did, and this looks like this could be another town or another region, which I'm sure we're going to get, since once again it is a new generation instead of just kind of a reimagining of a past game or something like Arceus is. This is going to have the full-fledged towns, gyms, and all types of stuff like that. So this is exciting, the fact that we can just walk over there and visit it eventually. This is going to be really cool. This next scene, we can see some Hoppips flying around those windmills that we were talking about, and tons of stairs spiraling up all the way to the top of them, which is definitely an indicator that we'll probably be able to go to the top. For what reasons? I don't know, probably just for some small item pickups and stuff like that, but it's really cool to do that nevertheless. Hopefully we can jump off and like paraglide like Breath of the Wild or something. I know, I'm comparing it to Breath of the Wild a lot because it actually has a chance to be a lot like that game in a good way. But in the background we see a path leading up to that mountain shaped almost like a volcano. I think it's just a regular mountain though, and some rocks along that path as well. This next scene we get a field of Bounsweets and Petalils walking around, and it seems a lot like Pokemon Arceus, how they're just spawning in these grassy areas, and they're just, you know, doing their own thing, and you probably run up and just smack them in the head with a Pokeball. I hope that returns. That's actually a lot of fun. But yeah, nothing super dramatic about this. The sun is just kind of either rising or setting behind that mountain landscape. We can see a small beachy area towards the right side. We then see some Psyducks walking around a swampy marshland here. It's raining and there's nothing but just mud and ponds of water everywhere, and it's more of a rocky region, so maybe closer to the mountainous region area, but not a lot to go off of here. Once again, it has that, you know, kind of blend of just bushes and shrubs and grass just kind of everywhere, and I kind of like this more because now we can kind of creep up on Pokemon and hide within random bushes instead of just giant patches of grass that's just everywhere. It just looks a lot better and it blends into the environment a lot more. If you know what I'm saying, alright. If don't, sorry, let's just move on. This next area is once again either a sunset or a sunrise, and we have a field of comb bees and driftlooms just kind of floating around doing their own thing. Another thing I'm starting to notice, it seems like lots of these Pokemon are appearing within these grassy areas, just like the originals, which makes sense, but I hope they also appear in big open areas, which we will see some, but I hope most of them are kind of just walking around everywhere as well, not just in the grass. That would be a lot better. Maybe the stronger Pokemon are more just in the overworld, and lots of these smaller ones are just in the grass, which would make a lot of sense. Now we can see some super high mountain range way off in the background. I mean, this is extremely tall and high up into the sky, and it's almost impossible to tell what's on this mountain range. It looks like they could be maybe torches. It looks like there's some flames. Maybe they're giant Pokemon walking around. Maybe they're huts or just red trees, like in a fall time area. It's almost impossible to tell from this angle, but it just shows the scale of this island is just going to be massive. I mean, this is extremely high up there. We then see a Meowth walking down a path by himself in between two mountainous regions, and of course, two weird signs that I just absolutely could not even try to read. I'm not even going to try to decipher that. I'm sure there's a way that we could, but, you know, that's not for me. But if you notice by the path, there seems to be something glittering and shining in the background, and I don't know if it's by a rock or by a bush, but it seems like maybe that's where some secrets might lie, and you can either, you know, go into the bush, maybe throw a Pokemon again like Arceus for them to get it for you, or maybe lift up a rock or something and find a secret item. We have some more landscapes for you as we see some Stonejourners walking around a desert, and we can see some ancient pillars or ancient structures sticking out of the sand as well, as if some town used to live here. So maybe there's a new town that's kind of under the sand in its own civilization or something. That would be super cool. But yes, we do get a desert region and a desert biome, and we can still see the water off in the background, so this is just a regular part of the island that has a desert biome, which is actually just really cool. Next up, we have some Pelipers and Claunchers walking across the beach shore here, and once again just showing that there's more regions in the game, such as deserts and and of course a beach area, which is probably all around the coast of the island, no matter where you go, which is pretty interesting that all of this is just going to be on one island once again. And it's just beautiful. The water looks really good. The sun coming over the horizon is really good. This is a really pretty looking Pokemon game, I can't lie. Alright guys, we're about halfway through. Hang in there with me. We're getting through this. But we finally get to see kind of the city and the city life with lots of the people. There's food stands everywhere and there's shops open and 2 giant flights of stairs going up to the big region of the area, which is where that giant Pokeball resided in that castle-like structure. And in the middle of this courtyard, we can see tons of different typed Pokemon all in a circle. Obviously, this is all the typings, and I don't know if there's going to be like a little chart in the middle showing what is good against what and like the matchups or anything, because that's what we need the most, because new Pokemon players like me still are trying to figure that out to this day. I think even old Pokemon players still are as well. And that is just completely it with this scene. No, obviously the big thing here. There are Pokemon in this city. Yes, there are 2 Swablues sitting on this line right here, and in the background is a Psyduck, and right here on one of the food sessions is a Starly. So this is kind of confirming that Pokemon are going to be freely roaming everywhere, even in the cities. That would be amazing to just catch Pokemon no matter where you are in this world, in the city, out in the wild, in other cities. This truly is a step in the right direction, just completely opening up this Pokemon world. We then get to see yet again more Pokemon in this city, being Pikachu sitting in one of these, areas in the square, and it's just, this is awesome, just to see Pokemon just kind of walking about and hanging out with people. We can see a small kid in the background, looks like he's playing a tambourine or maybe holding something else. I don't really know what that is, but other people just kind of walking by, going up the flights of stairs to the right, and kind of just enjoying their day. Behind the fountain area, we once again get to see some type of shop, and this one looks like we'll be able to enter it. It could be anything at this point, another, place to get your hair done, or a place to obviously pick up items, or maybe even just a place to buy some clothes. As we can see, everybody's fashionable in this town. They're all wearing something different. There's also some weird purple and blue balloons by a basket or a present or something. At first, I thought this was a loot llama. I don't know what this is. Now, just in case you were still skeptical about Pokemon appearing anywhere like in cities, here's just a giant Blissey sitting in this grassy field right beside the city. I don't know why anyone would have just a Blissey sitting here as just an NPC thing, like in normal Pokemon games. But this is definitely able to be captured. Like, this is 100% just Pokemon free roaming throughout this city. And right beside it, we see a tree with some oranges on it, which might once again indicate fruit from trees that we can obviously shake down or maybe have our Pokemon knock down for us. Next up, we have Seviper, and they're kind of just slithering through this deserty region, and that's about it. Nothing else really special about this picture. Next up, we have 2 Larvitars running out of a cave area at night, which once again confirms there might be some secret caves and areas that we can explore deeper into the map, which would be a lot of fun. Next up, we have a Magnemite floating beside what seems to be another tower, but this time it's not a windmill, it's just a random tower. But this one is very interesting. There's something at the top of it and something on top of the point on the top of the tower, which I don't know what it is. It might just be one of those wind things that blow around, or it could be a Pokemon, some type of bird that's sitting up there. I can't really make out from here, but I feel like someone in the comments is going to know what this is. If I were to take a guess, it looks like it could just be another Starly or maybe another type of Pokemon bird, but it definitely looks like it's moving and it's some type of Pokemon. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think. Now this one's a little bit more interesting than what it initially seems. We have Lucario shooting out an Aura Sphere, but at what exactly? Is he in the middle of a Pokemon battle, or is he just attacking the trainer as he's walking by, similar to how they do in Pokemon Arceus? It's almost impossible to guess, but this could just simply be a battle, or it could be the latter, who knows? And the last couple snapshots of the trailer kind of show us the city a lot more. That giant castle building with the Pokeball on top looks really cool, that giant chrome Pokeball. And of course, on the right side, there's some type of observatory or something, maybe to see the stars in some type of new way, or maybe to just check out the landscape from one central point of view, which would be really cool as well. We then see a Dratini water fountain with a giant mansion behind it. Maybe this is just some random mansion. It seems to be out of the way of the actual town, so maybe somewhere out there in the wild someone lives here. Maybe it's the mayor of the town, maybe it's somebody else related to the mayor, some special figure. I don't really know, but this is a pretty nice house, with of course some fruit trees in a front yard with those oranges again that you could probably shake down and collect. Also worth noting, this is probably by the beach because we can see some palm trees, some purple umbrellas towards the left side of the screen in the very beginning, and also some water right behind it, which shows like kind of a shoreline, which is probably right next to the beach. And guess what it's time for again? Breakdown time. Of course, we get typings in that circle again with the dragon type, rock, fairy, normal, fire, water, grass. We can go through all of them. You know them. And they're here in the middle of the courtyard in this symbol, which is very pretty. Now, we also have a kind of small look at some of the other shops that are kind of lined up throughout the streets, along with different umbrellas and stands that you could probably visit. Now, all these are probably shops where you can go, get clothes and do your character's hair, get items, all that type of stuff. And one of the shops actually has a picture of glasses on them, which maybe signifies that that's where you get your clothes, or at least maybe just some sunglasses. The building beside it looks like maybe that's where you actually get clothes or something like that, because it has a glass window probably where you look in and see the shop and stuff, but it's hard to make out the rest of the shops. It's just impossible to read the signs or anything and completely tell what they are, but it's probably just hair, food, stuff like that, items, supplies. We then get a little zoom out of the city before it pans to the next scene, and we can see in the background some interesting stuff to break down real quick. We see a giant tower, which is probably just, for detail, and there's probably nothing too special about that. But in the background, we get to see maybe a new biome or area. This looks a lot like a jungle area within some mountains. Lots of trees, lots of dark green trees. Maybe it's a jungle area, maybe it's just some mountains with some regular trees, I don't know, but it definitely does give off jungle vibes to me. Then we get a look at our home. This is probably going to be where we start the game in our own little house area, which is really nice. It's got some palm trees, regular trees, and of course we got that giant, huge mountain area in the background again. And this time we can see that it looks like it's just trees that we saw and not really torches. Maybe it was just the lighting, but yeah, it looks like more trees all the way up there. I don't know how we get up there. That's going to be a long walk. I really hope there's vehicles. And once again, this just backs up that Spain claim where the houses definitely do resemble those in Spain. And of course, I got the house from Encanto. I'm sorry, but it was the only one that kind of matched this version the most with the color scheme and everything. Just this one is a lot smaller compared to this giant house. We then see an apron hanging along with a towel and a small water spigot at the back end of the house. And yeah, I had to point out the water spigot. We point out everything here, but yes, this is just an apron and a towel, which probably signifies, once again, we're going to see our mother. She's going to be in this house just working away as we go out and explore the whole region and all that. So yeah, nothing real interesting there, but just some more details along the yard. And we get to see our character as they're running up to the house and the yard a little bit more, with lots of cabbages, turnips, radishes, pumpkins, and mama, she looks like she likes the garden this time around. There's a lot of stuff going on in this yard. It's a very beautiful house though. Really nice location right by the water side. And as we can see, our character obviously running up to the house. We get to see our character running up the path, and then she seems to be dressed in a schoolgirl outfit that we often can see once again from Spain tradition. They obviously wear stuff very similar to that. And I actually found a pretty cool matching picture that looks like it's the same outfit design as real life school outfits. Now in the background, we can once again see that mansion, and it's right beside your own house. So it does make me wonder, is that going to be our rival? Is that where our rival lives? Are they rich this time around? I have no clue, but that's very interesting that it's so close to our house. We then get to see a schoolboy walking up his steps, and we get to see these pictures along the wall that kind of represent the area, the towns, also the windmills, and some decorative plates along the wall, and it really does just have that Spain vibe. Even a picture of a woman doing a dance on the wall, which is very, very common as well in Spain. So there's lots of just different references and stuff. This really is diving deep into the culture, and I love everything that they're doing with this so far. And finally, into our room, we have some cool things to look at. We have a little vase that is built like a hoppip with a little plant coming through the top, which is very cool. Some type of Pikachu themed book and some other purple Pokemon book. I can't really make out what that is. And of course, we have a TV with our new game console sitting on the dresser there, and the Nintendo Switch sitting on top. And it's the OLED version. And right before the trailer ends, we get a small glimpse of a map on your wall, which seems to be the map of the new region. And it seems to maybe start with a V. There's a V on the top of the map. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe that's just a symbol for something else. But on the map, we can get a couple points of location. There's like 3 points pointed on the map. It's impossible to read them, of course. But we can see different regions. We can see what looks to be that pond we saw with the islands on it. We see maybe a snow region above that. Maybe that desert biome we saw with the orangish tan areas. And what's interesting about this, there seems to be some small islands on the outside of the main island itself as well, maybe signifying that we're going to be able to explore a lot more. And we still are not finished because there is some extra stuff outside of the trailer, such as the starters. For one, the starters are shown off, and yes, we have all their names and some more information about them as well. For our grass type this time, we have the grass cat Pokemon, Sprigatito. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It has the ability Overgrow, and the summary states the capricious, attention-seeking grass cat Pokemon. Next up, we have Fuecoco, which is a fire croc Pokemon. Now, this looks a lot like Appleton, and I had a little bit of Spanish. Actually, I took like 4 or 5 years in college, so I know Fuego is hot, so it's a hot croc is what he is, essentially. His ability is Blaze, and his description is it's the laid-back fire croc Pokemon that does things at its own pace. And we have the water type Quaxley, being the duckling Pokemon. His ability is Torrent, and the earnest and tidy duckling Pokemon. Now, there's some small information on the Pokemon website still that states, for instance, with these new titles, the Pokemon series takes a new, evolutionary step, allowing you to explore freely in a richly expressed open world. So this is coming straight from the mouth of Pokemon Company this time around. This is going to be an open world game for sure, not just segmented areas. We can explore anywhere and everywhere we want. The last bit of information we get is we get different outfits depending on which version of the game we get, with Scarlet and Violet and the outfits matching both. I'm not really sure how much this matters because I'm sure after not too long we'll be able to decorate our character in some pretty cool outfits, so I don't think this really matters that much. It only really comes down to what Pokemon are in what game and different types of characters in that game as well. But thank you guys so much for watching this trailer. There were so many things within this small little trailer, especially considering the fact that it's an open world now, and there were so many little details amongst the world and the Pokemon around it. But let me know in the comments down below if I missed anything, any details that you guys could find, and thank you so much for tuning in. What would you like to see from this open world, and what are some things that would excite you to see brand new within this new gen of Pokemon? If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like to stay up to date on all things Pokemon and Nintendo in general. And like always, I will see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.